It is.
Okay, and here we go. Ready?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Live from the mainstream cannabis media empire, I'm Travis Lippert, CEO of Veedverks Unlimited Limited, better known as Veedverks.
I'm Michael Miller, International Marketing Director for PanaceaLife.com, CBD manufacturer here in beautiful Golden, Colorado.
Today we've got with us William Spilo from...
That's actually
Spilo.
Spilo.
Sorry.
Spilo.
I was so proud of myself for knowing how to say the vowel.
It's all
like
good.
Spilo.
Spilo.
So
it's a beautiful day out there today.
I could do that. With us today, we have William Spilo
There we go.
from Lux CBD or CBD
CBD
LUXE.
LUXE.
Oh my goodness.
We're off to a start.
Yeah, we are. Hey, well, you got us off our game.
With
Being
us-
5 minutes late. No, I'm teasing.
With us today, we have William Spilo from Lux. No, damn it.
CBD LUXE.
Is it CBD LUXE?
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. We really are thrown off. It was a
Yeah.
crazy
Should we
weekend.
start over?
Yeah.
Scratch this.
All right, let's try it again. Live from the mighty Veedverks. No, that's Thursday.
That's Thursday.
Live from the mainstream cannabis media empire, I'm Travis Lippert, CEO of Veedverks Unlimited Limited, better known as Veedverks.
I'm Michael Miller, International Marketing Director for PanaceaLife.com, beautiful CBD manufacturer in Golden, Colorado.
Today we have with us William Spilo from CBD LUXE.
Yes.
Yes.
Glad
Yes.
you're with us
Gentlemen,
today.
thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about first what you did before you got into the CBD industry.
From a physical standpoint, I'd been a professional snowboarder for about 25 years.
Really?
Kind of more of an extreme aspect of the sport. I worked as an international heli ski guide around the world, Alaska, Chile, Iceland, mostly guiding movies for companies like Red Bull and Matchstick Productions, kind of making those extreme skiing and snowboard movies you've seen. From a financial standpoint, I'd worked in the cannabis industry for Grow Life, selling financial packages for them to basically finance large scale grows. So when once the licensing had been organized here in Colorado, these guys needed to grow in like 36 to 60,000 square foot warehouses, and so I sold them financial packages and did consulting because I have a botany background from growing up as well as from college.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yeah. Did a little private equity stint as well, raised money for a energy efficiency company and concept. So we did that for a bit. But now I'm here with CBD LUXE.
God, I love it. I had no idea about the snowboarding and skiing like that.
I still get a little bit in.
Do you really?
Yeah,
nice.
just in Alaska a couple weeks ago.
As extreme or no?
Pretty much.
Really?
We're not doing. I had a kid in August, so I promised my wife that I'd stop doing the movie stuff and just take wealthier guys skiing.
Wow.
So we're kind of doing that now.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a good paid vacation.
It's got to be. And you love what you're doing?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
All the way around.
God.
From CBD to Big Mountain riding.
I love that.
What was the name of that guy that made all those skiing movies?
Warren Miller.
Warren Miller.
Yeah.
Any relation?
No.
No. Figures.
I was in all of his films, though.
Of course you were.
So what got you into CBD? How'd you find out about CBD?
So, working with in the cannabis space with Grow Life, I just kind of saw some of the opportunities that are out there. And an old friend of mine who worked in Washington was an award-winning extractor. He made boutique extracts. And he called me up. He said, the legislation is starting to organize here in Washington. Why don't we get ahead of the curve? So we went around. I kind of pulled out the Rolodex about some people that were interested in investing in the cannabis space, found some available capital, went out to Washington and kind of was doing my due diligence based on what I'd seen in Colorado, where the success had been, OPEN, companies like that. Sure. And I said, this is probably the angle that we should pursue. So once I got out there, met with some local attorneys and realized that their legislative climate was completely unsettled. Yeah. And there was no way I was about to take somebody else's money, start writing checks and try to entrench myself in that industry there. And here had been already saturated. So we were kind of still doing our due diligence, looking around, vetting different basically avenues to take. And at a lab I was at, a guy said, "Hey, have you ever heard of CBD isolate?" And I said, "Well, I'm very well aware of what CBD is. I hadn't heard of it in an isolate form." He said, "Well, I need you to contact this guy and, see what he's got." So I contacted a gentleman on the East Coast. He had been importing it from an ISO lab in the UK, and I said, well, I know the benefits of CBD because I would take it for myself to get off the NSAIDs because I'm totally rebuilt from all my injuries of years of snowboarding. I've got 6 deck screws in my neck, both my shoulders have been done, plastic in my face, both my knees have been done, and a pretty steady regimen of NSAIDs, which is brutal on your liver and kidneys. So I was familiar with CBD. We got a kilo of stuff. It was 65,000. What was the first kilo?
You're
start?
2016.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you kidding?
Late 2015. Yeah.
Right.
So, and this is from an ISO certified lab. It wasn't cheap Chinese stuff. But the stuff from China was still 50,000. And so we made a line of products that we still sell to this day. Our sublingual topical spray, and I passed it out to a bunch of professional athletes. And I said, look, I know you guys are taking 600 to 800 milligrams of IBU a day on a light day.
Sure.
Why don't you guys try not taking it for a couple of weeks? Try this stuff, and the reception was tremendous. And I said, you know what? This is it. Let's do this. Let's do something that we can sell internationally, nationally.
Sure.
With a relative degree of certainty. I mean, at the time, we obviously it's pre-Farm Bill, but the 2014 Farm Bill passed, and that gave us kind of the green light. Let's just say to the extent that we felt comfortable with operating.
Right. Sure.
So that's how we got started. And at first it was difficult because nobody knew what CBD was.
Right.
And not on a large scale.
Sure.
And anybody in the cannabis space was more interested in THC focused stuff. So, it was difficult to start, but we stuck with it, and here we are today.
I love that.
Yeah.
So that 65,000 is what we paid for our first kilo too.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
God,
that's why I guessed early 2016.
What was your products cost? Retail.
Oh, it was a shitload. But at the time, isolate wasn't available. Only distillate was.
Okay.
And so that was the cost of the CBD in the distillate. Like we paid by the molecule, or we paid by the active ingredient, not by the total weight.
Like the way you would buy hemp basis points. You're basically just paying by the weight of CBD.
Sure.
So a kilo of CBD was 65,000. Then that would, whatever that content was in a distillate, it wouldn't be a kilo distillate. At that point, it would be like
a couple, more than 2 point something kilos of distillate. Yeah. Exactly. And so then we would, then we had 2 numbers to work with before we got into isolate. We had the THC to worry about. So we had to do a bunch of math to figure out how much do we have to dilute this down before the THC is under 0.3%.
Sure.
And then the second number was how much CBD then does that result with.
And we'll think about this too. You're doing all this math. You're like, well, we better get this verified. What did that cost? There's 360 Analytical out in Washington. There was a couple labs here, but it was a long process.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy. So we've come a long way.
Yeah.
The industry's all grown up. Still got a long way to go, though. I
was just offered this morning 1 to 49 kilos of isolate at 42 each.
Really?
Yeah. 4,200. That's a big.
Colorado?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. And
Colorado grown?
But that's an evolution.
Well, I'll find out.
That's an evolution of the past month.
Yeah.
Yeah. The 1 to 40.
Yeah.
But I think, there's been probably upwards of $500 million invested in isolate and distillation, and extraction, so to speak, across the country.
Absolutely.
In large scale. So I think, I do think that the prices hover right now because we're going to run out of biomass to some degree. But after the next harvest, look out.
There's a lot of European coming in and South American right now, that's for sure. And there's labs, as long as it meets the criteria, they're using it, or they will over the next several months. That's for sure. That or lay off all their people and close their company.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's always the Buy American thing that'll last a little while.
I love that.
Yeah, so do I. I'm a big proponent on that. There's a lot of things we do in our company that we're very proud of from an ethical standpoint, or it's we're not really here to say it's ethical or not, just from our own credo and morality, how we like to support vets. We like to keep it, for certain laws, we also have to be domestic to in Colorado, and then just kind of try to keep it American as much as we can for the time being.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Do you have a core value statement or a mission statement or something?
We
like
do.
That?
It's up on it's up on the website. I wish I could recite it. Let's see. Let's go to the About Us. Yeah, I knew you guys were going to make me read something. We are a highly innovative company committed to maintaining rigorous pharmacological standards in order to deliver the highest quality CBD products on the market with an unmatched level of purity, quality, and efficacy.
I stand behind that.
Yeah.
I know your group.
Yeah.
I know the people that work for you.
Yeah, I mean, we third party test everything. We've got guys, we get signed off on our SOPs with a PhD, You've seen that.
Absolutely.
And I mean, the writing's on the wall. We've got to be ready for all the regulation that's going to come down. And why not? In the meantime, that makes us just create a higher level of standard, SOPs that keep us up at a level that we're going to be held accountable to eventually,
Absolutely.
And it also just makes me sleep at night. I love having third party testing. You can go on our site. There's a testing page. Now we're putting a sticker on our, we have a QR code that has a born in date or due by date. Sorry, excuse me, best by date. Mm-hmm. That's the FDA standard.
Sure.
So, everything's a year out from when it was produced. You click on it, the batch codes match up, and it shows our testing. So, and we've got the potencies up there. If somebody wants to drill down on pesticides and things like that, we're happy to provide anything. What we found is that the more we put a little too much information on the site, we get inundated with emails for questions, and we just don't have the time.
Right.
Now, if one of our vendors calls, our clients being a vendor calls up and says, "Hey, we want all the tests," we're like, "Here you go," and we're happy to answer questions for them and let them disseminate to their clientele. But for our e-commerce, I mean, you're talking 1,000 emails a day.
Sure.
Hey, what does this test me? What is this? And it's like, I'm sorry, I just don't have the staffing for it. And I really do wish I could get to every single one of those or pay a staff to get to every one. But in the meantime, we're just trying to answer, the most fundamental questions that get us a good product out there.
When did you start putting QR codes on your products?
Like last week. So we've had the testing up for we've offered testing for the past 3 years since we started. But we just got it on the site about a couple months ago. And then we just got the QR thing because what it was is we just had a round of boxes out. So we finally figured out how we could get it fitted on all the boxes because we didn't want to print it because if things change and we buy 100,000 units at a time. So we figured out, okay, let's use a sticker. Let's get what's the most pertinent data. We talked to guys at FDA facilities. They said the best buy date. And everybody has their own belief. I just, basically going by what I was told. So
yeah. And the QR code then goes directly to your lab.
It goes. So what it does, it goes to the page, and then right around it, it shows it goes right to the test page, and then you go, okay, that's my product right there, and click on that, and then it shows you that. Because if you were to do a QR code for each test, then I have to change it with each test. But we're kicking out so much product now. Sure. I have a new test every couple of weeks because we'll sell 10,000 units. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden we get a new client, we're out, we have to make another 10,000, so we'd be changing the QR code. So that what I've found I got a bit of direction from these big developers, and they're like, you just put a QR code right to your test pages, and then they pick the batch and the product from there.
So you print the batch number, the QR code just goes to a page whereby you type in the batch number. Then you pick,
there it is, Be Clear tincture. Boom, click on that, and it shows there's this batch number matches this test.
Yeah.
And that's how you know you're in business.
There goes that compressor.
Yeah, how about that?
It's like clockwork. I think that compressor's getting sick. Next door, they have an air compressor that I'm pretty sure they used to run a pill pressing machine, but it just never fails. We're going to have to buy them a new compressor when we start rolling in the dough from millions of viewers.
Only 1.3 million.
1.3 million.
1.3, that's a good start. Yeah. How long have you guys been running?
I don't even know.
A year.
A year?
At least
Has it been a year?
I think we've been doing this. We had our friend-iversary. We met at Mother's High Tea last year.
So we started about 6 weeks after that, maybe. Yeah. We got to find out the first show so we can have a,
I'm sorry, can we back this up? You guys met at Mother's High Tea?
Yeah.
I didn't realize I was in the presence of such dilettantes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know what? They're not having it this year. It's a really good place to just hang out, meet good friends, and make new ones. It really is.
That's a nice environment, huh?
Yeah.
I think they may be having it just later.
Okay.
Like we missed the the typical May type of time frame, but I think it may happen later this year.
It's always a good day to blow off.
Julie. There you go. Yeah. Always looking for a reason to head out of the office.
Amen.
So I think that with our
like a podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we have a lot more coming too.
We don't sell that many products, so what we do is, we test every batch. We put the labs online, and there's a web page where if you type in the lot code, which we put on the packaging with that little mechanical machine that ink debosses it. and just insets it into the packaging. So if you type that in, then it'll pull up the results. And so now what we're doing is we need to buy a little machine. That's why I was asking you, because we're going to use stickers.
Right.
Because we buy 10,000 units of packaging, and that could go into just several, dozens of lots, maybe, depending on how big the lot is. Sure. So we need to buy a little purpose-built printer that will print the QR code for that lot. And I think we're just going to have it go to just either just the lab results right there, or just a page that describes at least what the product is, maybe a picture of it in the lab results.
Well, it shows how nimble we have to be in our industry.
Honestly. It's amazing, just think of just like the THC space. I mean, the amount of ancillary businesses that evolved out of it, I mean, out of nowhere, these packaging companies are like, wow, business is good.
Yeah. A lot of people, they don't speak about the ancillary industries wrapped around it that have nothing to do with the product itself. Electricians, air conditioning, HVAC, the whole 9 yards.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you really get a perspective of it when you go out and you're trying to raise money, and you find out what guys who want to get into the space, what their appetite for investment is. And typically, it's always something ancillary, But then they also start sharing what their ideas are. Like, oh, I never thought of that as being a service.
Yeah.
Just so many different things. I mean, big QR codes or website design. I mean, just a million different things that go into any business, that isn't the core focus.
What separates CBD LUXE from other CBD companies?
Our kind of our thing is that we were one of the first companies out there that was very ailment or mood specific. I feel very confident saying that. We've been doing that since we started in 2016. And that was what kind of separated us then, and to some degree does now. A lot of people kind of jumped on the bandwagon, but a couple of things that really separate us are that we put quite a bit of science into using homeopathy, so for our vape pens example, we use essential oils based on homeopathy to create different effects, right? So to be calm, we're using lavenders and camomiles, valerians, things like that. Our alerts actually are a formula we made with a SEAL Team 6 medic, asking about which terpenes were the best for anti-anxietal for PTSD. So limonene, myrcene. So we took that from lemon, lime, citral for ginger. So then using those essential oils to enhance the effects. In our ingestibles, we don't use essential oils or terpene base. We use full plant extracts. But every single one of the ingredients in any one of our products, aside from the CBD, is USDA certified organic and non-GMO. So we stand behind our products and the science behind it. We're evolving rapidly into finding different ways to enhance those effects, which we'll be releasing here shortly. Not on this podcast, so to speak.
On the next one.
We'll save for the next round.
Yes.
But so we've really found that people have been very receptive to our formulations because it's just about efficacy,
right.
And in the meantime, just delivering a product that people can trust as far as having all the certifications you can find.
Well, that is definitely important. The difference between 2014 and 2016, 18 Farm Bill. What's the difference in the two that you see?
My understanding basically is just kind of more of a federal, not to say that 2014 wasn't federal, but that was basically to say it's okay to cultivate hemp.
Right.
And that's why there were so many people saying that wasn't the case. But I'm like, trust me, I gave 7% of my company away to attorney before I started because I knew the legislative landscape was going to require quite a bit of legal navigation.
Sure.
So basically his understanding was that you can grow hemp, and the 2018 is more of saying that hemp products are viable, or legal, I should say. And then somewhere along the line, there was like this reclassification to controlled substance, and I didn't really understand it all. And my attorney even had a hard time really deciding what was the true verbiage behind it, or how is it truly defined? Right. Because I remember all of a sudden they're like, no, this is a federally legal product, and I'm like, I don't recall that ever being the case.
Right.
And the 2014 Farm Bill was supposed to separate from that. So I really it was different, everybody had their own interpretation.
Right.
And the funny thing is now is that, we all kind of feel that federal law trumps everything, but you get so many state legislations now. Right. State governments are trying to say, no, doesn't fly in our state. Have you heard from Ohio, Idaho seizing loads of hemp, saying, you don't subscribe to federal law, and that's kind of odd.
Right.
But they know they can hold it up in court long enough and make, all the press they want out of it. So
7% when you started, like before you launched a product, you gave 7% away to an attorney.
Yeah, basically we were like making our articles of incorporation, dividing the company up.
Do you think you got your money back out of that?
Within 6 months. And even in our current evaluation, I mean, everything's a contract. I don't know what other companies are doing, but I'm just, I just wrapped up another contract today. It's every different manifestation of the business, a white label contract, a private label contract. I mean, everything's a contract. Sharing space with larger companies, I need a contract. And then if it's not, half the time, nobody wants to fork up the legal bill. So where's your contract? Well, where's yours? We'll use yours. I don't have one. And then you get handed these shoddy legal templates, and then everything's like, crammed in, and you're like, well, I don't think that's a good idea. So, okay, I'll have my attorney, and even if we use their template or something, at least review it. But then it just always, I found every time we've done that, the amount of time it takes to reconstruct it and to make it that's something that's ironclad, you might as well just had them draw something up that's suitable for your company.
Right.
And then unfortunately, then everybody else takes yours and kind of cuts it up to their own needs, and saves themselves the $10,000.
Well, my NDA non-circumvent's probably out of 5 or 6 of them out there pasted together.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't even know if it flows that well.
Our sales rep contract is the same thing. So many, and people, I appreciate their candidness. People call me all the time and say, hey, do you mind if I use your sales rep agreement? I'm like, well, just make sure, take all our names, because people are so unthorough.
Yeah.
And somebody's like, hey, I think I work for your company. I'm like, what? Well, it's on the sales rep agreement. Page 10 still has W&W Enterprises, DBA CBD LUXE. I'm like, all you had to do was, was erase it.
Yeah.
All you had to do was erase it.
Right.
Didn't get that far.
Yeah.
So we have on May 31st, the FDA is going to have their public hearing on CBD that we've all kind of had our eyes on that date. Are you watching that? And if so, what are you expecting the feds to do next?
It's I really don't even, my crystal ball is still cloudy. And, my belief is that they're not going to try and reinvent the wheel. So I'm not sure how accurate I am. This is my understanding, is that when GW Pharma went under FDA testing, it took CBD and hemp products out of what they call the Supplement Care Act and put us into this nutraceutical ethereal, right? So it was based on that, because they're trying to placate them. Like, you're spending all this money on this. We get it. We don't want to give someone the benefits of being under the Supplement Care Act, which allows you to navigate and operate in so many different market spaces that they would be capitalizing on.
Right.
So it makes sense. So what I'm thinking is that they're just going to say, okay, well, GW Pharma's already, now they're in a federally regulated environment. Let's just put CBD back into the Supplement Care Act. That's my clouded crystal ball, as far as I'm willing to look into it. Yeah. And I'm really hoping it goes that route, because it sets a great standard. It makes it guidelines that are easy for us to follow. It's a pretty simple roadmap.
Right.
And I think it would be beneficial to everybody out there. I think that the only thing that's going to keep us from getting there is the fact that there's so many nefarious players in the game, and they're putting out dangerous products.
Yes.
So that might have to create some sort of, maybe, I don't know, adjunct to the Supplement Care Act, or, ancillary regulation. But I'm just kind of hoping we kind of get corralled in that direction.
That'd be nice. What do you think?
There are all sorts of supplements out there that can actually kill you, and unlike cannabinoids. And like folic acid, for example, I think that the FDA is maybe the way it's going to shake out is that they're going to make it so that you can buy CBD products with a certain amount of CBD per dose over the counter. And then if it's got more than that, then it would be a prescription drug. And maybe that's how they can appease the drug companies. Like folic acid, they put it in prenatal pills. I know this from my previous life. And you can go to the store and get something with 800 micrograms of folic acid in it. or you can go to the doctor and get prescribed something that has a milligram of folic acid, just 200 micrograms more. And that is a prescription and costs a whole lot more. So I think that maybe that's how they could address the just the fact that they're going to have to deal with us. They can't just shut us all down. It's impossible.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think they have any intention of that either. I mean, that's why I think, and this is just my opinion, man. I mean, I'm so busy with everything else, I really don't have time to worry about the feds at the time, except for being compliant.
Right.
Right.
With that being said,
that was a quick back pedal. No, the point being is you're absolutely right. So, ibuprofen, great example. You can buy 200 milligram pills or you can take 40 of them from one bottle, but you can get prescribed an 800 milligram. Trust me, I speak from experience with those.
I still know what they smell like.
Yeah.
Like in my mind's eye, the smell of the 800 milligram ibuprofen.
Yeah. I remember I took one once, I just got back from Alaska and my knees were I had shattered my kneecap and still operated the whole season. And I mean, it just was so painful. I just want to go to a concert and stand up, and I ate like 2. And I remember, I was just standing there and I had a lemonade and vodka or something. And I just, all of a sudden, your blood's too thin. Right. And then you add alcohol and my blood pressure couldn't keep up. Right. And I remember I was like, oh boy. And I'm looking, holding onto a trash can. I'm like, can somebody help me sit down? And I was like, don't do that again.
Wow.
Yeah. Just too thin.
So in the Farm Bill talks about Delta-9. It says that hemp is cannabis sativa L with less than 0.3% Delta-9 THC on a dry weight basis. And so people are growing hemp to maximize CBD content while keeping that THC low. And then I know other people are working on growing CBG this year.
Right.
What do you think the next 5 and then even 10 years worth of cannabinoid-based nutraceuticals or prescription drugs or whatever they end up making all these things be?
I mean, you're going down the exact path that this whole industry is going to. I mean, it's once again kind of expounding on what we're doing, and that's totally what our company is doing right now. We're working on isolation of cannabinoids. Now we're it exists right now. We're just trying to do it in a non-cost prohibitive manner, in a $45,000 key of CBG. But how much CBG do you really need? And that's what we're kind of working on now. We're working with some really advanced people at independent labs, not in-house, that are isolating cannabinoids for us, and then we're kind of doing our own R&D to see what levels get the reactions we're looking for. And I think that's where you're going to see the trend of the industry going, as far as the CBGs, the CBNs, CBCs, things like that. So I think you're absolutely right. I mean, that's it. And what's amazing is look how fast the strains of hemp, so to speak, have been evolved. I mean, in 3 years, it's incredible the percentages. And Mike, you can speak to this. You're out there, you're the biomass master. Seeing what levels of CBD are out there and how low they've reduced the THC to.
Right. And it's getting better every season.
Yeah, growing. I think targeting a cannabinoid to grow specifically is one thing, but to reduce another at the same time, to me, is impressive.
Right.
It seems like it'd be harder to do.
There are a lot of different colors of roses. I'm sure that growers can figure it out over time and with enough profit motive. CBN is what has me excited about. So we started with the distillate and we diluted down so that the THC was less than 0.2%. And I'm talking 2016. And then we added, once isolate became available, we started adding isolate to be able to increase the CBD without bringing up the THC. Sure. And then when isolate became more available, then we just stopped using distillate and used a pure isolate-based product so that we can ship it across state lines with less late nights worrying about things that could happen, and also found a good market for it because it turns out that a great deal of this country has a legitimate serious concern about having to take a urinalysis test. Everybody who works in a factory, if a forklift hits a shelf and falls over, everybody's getting drug tested. And but my point with that is that going from the distillate to the isolate, that THC, it doesn't just disappear, it ends up somewhere. And the isolate labs then have this unwanted unwanted byproduct of THC that you can't do anything with. You've got to
put in vape pens. What are you talking
destroy
about?
Destroy it.
No, I'm teasing. Well, I'm joking.
I think, but so CBN isn't something that you can grow a high CBN hemp crop, because CBN's a non-enzymatic oxidative process, or it results from a non-enzymatic oxidative process of THC. So like all this junk THC that you've got to, I mean, it's a problem. That's what we did when we shifted to isolate, is we made the hemp THC somebody else's problem. But you could turn that into CBN, and you'd never be able to get more than 0.3% CBN out of a hemp crop. But CBN's an ambient killer. I don't know if you've ever just tried pure CBN.
Yeah, it's interesting is that, when I was a kid, I tried a little cannabis. Mm-hmm. And the African strains were they would put you to sleep, and it was because their CBN content was so high. And then I lived in Amsterdam after my ski season in Switzerland, and these guys, they would. I mean, this is a long time ago, and it was still before like the hybridization. These crazy strains you see now were in its infancy. So they were still importing all these strains from all over the world, these land races, and they had like these African strains that were super high in CBN. They would just knock you out, Yeah. That was the first time I'd ever heard of CBN. It was 1988.
Wow. Yeah. It's CBN is interesting because, I mean, the federal law definitely doesn't talk about CBN. It doesn't even talk about THCA, which is what it should talk about. But CBN it's still kind of psychoactive. And from my reading of the federal law, that could be a legal product. Or take another thing that it doesn't address, like CBD and THC and delta-9 THC are more closely related than CBD and THCV, or delta-9 and THCV. They're just how they're formed in the plant. It's a much different molecule from THC compared to CBD, and it's definitely psychoactive, and the Farm Bill doesn't say anything about that. And so how many we've talked about, like 5 cannabinoids, and there's at least 113 known phytocannabinoids in the cannabis plant. And do you think that, how about a CBC isolation, or just name a cannabinoid? People working on CBD I can see a world where, actually I can see a world where farmers are growing hemp crops that are as high as possible in CBG, and obviously under the 0.3% THC, and then that CBG gets extracted and it gets taken into a lab and turned into CBD and THC, or CBN. I think that's what the pharmaceutical future of cannabis is going to look like in my mind.
So they're basically trying to grow like rich in one phytocannabinoid that can be converted into others, while maintaining yourself in a legal standpoint from not having high THC. Yep. That's interesting. I mean, and it's, all comes down to which one can grow the most of that phytocannabinoid and how resistant is it. And I mean, I think you're absolutely right. If you think about the advancements in agriculture in any standpoint, I mean, hemp is only another major cash crop out there to drive such evolution,
Absolutely. And there's mad scientists out there, a bunch of youngsters with PhDs that are going to start growing hemp specifically for whatever they want, what strain they want, what, high in CBG or CBN.
Sure.
Right now there's a company supposedly in Kentucky that has a hemp plant with 0 THC, I wish I had that patent on that seed. Right. Everyone would use it almost.
What was the CBD content of it? Was it something? I mean,
no, it was average. 10 to 14%, something like that. But I only read it.
Sure.
So you never really know until.
Not to mention having 50,000 of them grow 0 THC, right?
Yeah.
That's a good story then.
That's why you got to grind them all up into a very fine powder.
So what products do you have right now, and what's on the horizon as far as products to your patients?
Right now we're pretty fortunate to have some cutting edge delivery systems. Mm-hmm. We have what's called a meter dose inhaler. It's same FDA certified or approved, I should say, components as an albuterol inhaler. Mm-hmm. We have the machinery, the pneumatics in our facility that manufacture these. It's, the thing that makes it really unique is that it is a metered dose. You're getting 5.5 milligrams every time of an active ingredient. Now, what we're very fortunate of is we used to make a THC CBD one under a different licensing agreement we had before, and the oils and the terpene base of the THC and the distillate are pretty harsh. It's pretty invasive to the throat. For a heavy cannabis consumer, not a big deal, and that's why they sold well. But we wanted something less invasive to the average consumer. So we got very fortunate, and we have an agreement with a company that makes a micellized CBD, which is truly the only water-soluble CBD product out there that I'm aware of. People make claims, but I've never seen anything that wasn't water miscible, meaning that the molecules exist in water. Typically what people are doing is putting a liposomal carrier around the molecule, which allows it to exist in water. This is truly water-soluble in the sense that it's very difficult for me to explain. That it's basically reversing of the liposomal head, which allows water to be drawn into the cell, which makes it water soluble. It's a pretty unique product. It's one of a kind. Yep. We find it, honestly, I use these all day, every day. And once again, we bioenhance those with full plant extracts to kind of enhance the effects. But we're quite pleased with the results of the product. One, it's extremely innocuous to the pulmonary system. So we find that to be a big plus. So, maybe it's not for everyone, but what we're not finding is that anyone can use it without having any adverse effects, like most CBD products. But this is something we want to be very careful of because we are kind of nebulizing it and using compressed air to put it into the pulmonary system. So we're extremely cautious about creating something that would be non-invasive to that same system.
It's really interesting. The water soluble is the way of the future. That's one of the many things that I think it's only begun to be explored. Like we've been messing with it. You're speaking to my heart when you're talking about the liposomal heads and stuff. So that's
it's a pretty unique product.
So I think you're the only people who have MyCell technology.
Well, we're licensing it, so we're not the only ones that have it.
But you're the only ones with an inhaler?
Yes.
So on your website here, I see 1,100 milligram. Is that of 1,100 milligrams?
Of the full spectrum oil. So that's the micellized full spectrum oil. The CBD content in these is quite low just because of the nanoparticulates of it. So it's hard for the HPLC to read it, but it basically is the equivalent of 1,100 milligrams of full spectrum oil.
So 1,100 milligram equivalent. Got it. Yeah, it can be a hair pulling type of.
It's a tough one to explain when you get into the nanoparticulate because of the size of each individual molecule.
So then, here's something that I've dealt with a bit is vape pens. You've got CBD Vape Pens. Come on, internet. So you've got three kinds: Be Calm, Be Alert, and what's the third one?
And Be Clear.
And Be Clear. I like that. And these contain 200 milligrams of
CBD isolate.
CBD isolate. What's the total weight?
It's 200 milligrams of CBD isolate, and then that's in a 1 ml.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
I saw this. Wonder if I could pull this up fast enough to talk trash on them. I'm certainly going to try. There was, let's see.
I saw a report come out today, by the way, while you're looking. The TSA, they're not going to start keep on arresting people for CBD products.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
They've had it.
Yeah. I mean, they're arresting them for breathing.
Their coffers are too full of CBD products.
That's probably it.
Storage.
That shampoo, it outgrew the shampoo. They had to get thrown out at TSA,
Right.
I love the grab-and-go boxes that you guys have. Thanks.
We're pretty proud of our packaging. We put a lot into it. We've got some new products that are coming out here. We're launching a pen line here that's going to be one of a kind in the sense that it's the only pen I've ever seen without a carrier. It's a straight full spectrum oil. We found a lab that can manufacture it for us. It's got probably the highest phytocannabinoid profile I've ever seen.
Really?
Like 4% CBG,
Nice.
6% CBC, 3% CBN.
Are they local or no?
No.
Okay.
No.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, it's a pretty unique product. So we're excited. We'll be launching that in the next 30 days.
So that's one of the new products.
That is one of the new products. Yeah.
What else?
We've got some other stuff up our sleeve.
All right.
That one we'll really talk about since it's so close to market.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. And it's got some sexy packaging. It's just, I love the flavoring of it. I mean, just the way the stuff tastes by itself is just unbelievable. I've never vaped a product that I enjoyed as much.
Wow.
I'm not a big vapor guy, so my fragile pulmonary system.
Check these guys out. This Michigan company's putting out vape cartridges.
And what's that say? Jack Herrera?
Yeah, Jack Herrera.
Oh, okay, her. Yeah.
And these are supposed to be a THC product or just
it's a CBD and it's distillate, and it says 1,000 milligrams of pure bliss on it. And these carts are. I'm trying to not show their name because I don't want to talk crap on the company itself.
That's
I just want to. They're filled halfway up,
that looks like a pretty small cart too.
It's
because a 1 ml cartridge is kind of harder to find.
Well, they say on their website that these are C-cell cartridges, and I try to. It might be a 1 milliliter C-cell, but a milliliter is a gram of water. And cannabinoid extract is slightly heavier than water. It's not a ton heavier than water,
right?
But this is only halfway full. So if they've got 1,000 milligrams of pure, 1,000 milligrams of pure bliss with this.
That could be the gray area there.
This gold, but I figured it out though. It's called gold distillate. So I started doing the math. Gold? I started doing the math, and I believe that it would be possible. Gold is like, I don't know, 18 times heavier than water.
Gold.
It says gold distillate. So maybe they're putting pure gold in there. And that's how.
Like stupid.
No, it's not. They're not. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is that they're not. And we need to keep legit vape pen companies need to call out stuff like this. Everybody, that is not.
Oh, there's a litany of
that is not 1,000 milligrams of anything
out there that you could really question their math.
Yeah.
Some I'll say this: I've seen a couple products, and I'm like, wait, how are they doing that? And, at first it kind of takes you back, like, am I missing something here? Are they making some wonder product how did they get so much? And I'm like, wait a second, you can't do that,
right?
I'm like, okay, let's just call the PhD up.
Yeah. So where do you see your company in 3 to 5?
Right now we're really fortunate. We haven't really diluted ourselves in any taken on too much growth capital or anything. We're definitely excited too. We're looking to partner up. I mean, for sure, just because it's kind of the only way for us to make our footprint as large as we'd like it to be. Mm-hmm. But right now, we're in a lot of countries. We're distributing to South Africa. We're just sent some shipments to Japan. We're in the UK, trying to get our footprint into Europe, having discussions about some other countries, and we're really excited, Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's just hard to keep up with the demands.
Yeah.
It really is, that's our biggest problem. It's just
that's a good problem.
Keeping the lights on and, keeping enough product on the shelf, right. A good problem to have, but at the same time, it's really annoying because you're spending all this time, the day-to-day stuff,
right.
Where, I mean, if I just had if the covers are deep, I could just be expanding into so many other product lines and things like that. And that gets frustrating. Nobody wants to see your idea come out by somebody else first.
Sure.
And we've had a treasure chest of ideas that we haven't been able to bring to market for 3 years. I mean, I'm really fortunate. Some of my partners and the guys I work with, they just have a good mind for this, and when you combine the sports supplement backgrounds that we all have, that was something else I did for a while too. Mm-hmm. And I've always really been into nutrition. So that's kind of our mindset, is how to make all this stuff better,
right?
And how to give it creative advanced delivery systems that'll make it palatable to a broader range of consumer, And so it'd be great if we could execute on all our ideas. Mm-hmm. We're just trying to pick the ones we can get out there in a timely, cost-effective fashion.
I hear you. Story of my life.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds like we've led very similar paths.
I'm not the only one singing this song, that's for sure.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
How do you like your new facility?
I got to tell you, ever since my relationship with the company you work for, Panacea Life Sciences, started in Louisville, it's been nothing but beneficial. I hope for both parties. Great bunch of people to work amongst.
Sure.
And with, and just very professional. I learned so much from their whole staff.
Sure.
And their management, and the facility we're in is just spectacular. It was a EPA facility before, so everything's just kind of built out government specs.
Unbelievably,
it really
is.
I mean, it's
overkill. Yeah. That's where the tax dollar goes.
I try not to make any comment on that because nobody's happy about where the taxpayer dollars go as it is. But let's just say that they might have skipped a bridge or two to get this one built.
Yeah, I'm telling
I mean,
it is.
It's fantastic. We've got over 6,000 square feet of just lab space that is. Just, it looks like you walk, every room we have is like walking into a Harvard Chem lab. We have space doors, and we're, as is Panacea and ourselves, we're trying to turn the whole facility into GMP level. Yep. So you couldn't have picked a better infrastructure to work with to change something like that.
Absolutely.
And I think we'll all do it in such a timely fashion. They're halfway there,
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep. Everything's going to have to be CGMP certified.
Sooner or later, that's for sure.
Only a matter of time.
Yeah, the writing's on the wall for sure.
That's another thing I think that the FDA will be pretty quick to act on. That's a good way to put a big strike against the whole existing CBD industry and give a leg up to pharma, is to just make it required that your facilities meet pharmaceutical company standards, and just say like, okay, we're going to regulate this, the manufacturing this.
That is certainly the fastest way to thin the herd right now.
Yeah, it sure is. Yeah. What about FDA approved? Do you think that's going to come in?
No, I don't.
What about you?
I would have to say that is a long way out.
Yeah.
And if I had to say what's the roadmap there, would be by the time maybe pharma comes in and consumes a bunch of all these CBD companies,
sure.
Then I could kind of see it going that route, because there's enough lobbying in one aspect of it, where they're like, okay, enough, we own them all. Let's do it. But I would think that, when you think about the insurance play and everything, it might be a reason for them to do it, but it just seems like it'd be easier to stay in that supplement world, but I don't know.
Hope so.
Yeah.
What's your exit strategy?
$1 billion, he's out.
Yeah.
No.
I'm so entrenched in the belief of what we're doing right now, and I'm so excited about getting all these products out there that it's not really my focus at this time. I would like to think, though, that we could partner up with some people that really help us bring all these ideas to market in a safe, efficacious manner.
Sure.
You said that you're big supporters of veterans.
Absolutely.
What types of things do you do to support veterans?
We're always giving out coupons to anybody, if you just, and we make it as easy as just, use this coupon code on Veterans Day. We work with a bunch of different veteran groups and saying, look, is there some sort of product that we can make, formulas that you think would help them? Just little things like that. We donate, we give them our time as well.
Yeah.
We're still a burgeoning company, in a nascent industry. So we're having a hard time keeping up. So we try and allocate as much time as we can to help, because we know none of us would be doing this if it wasn't for our vets.
Absolutely.
And all
Air Force Academy right there.
No
this
kidding.
Is owned by what? Three people from the Air Force Academy or what?
Yeah. 3 of our 5 founders and 2 of our investors, and our best help that is available right now
for free.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking.
Guido's awesome.
Government subsidized.
Well, you spoke earlier about the necessity for contracts and how much you've used a lawyer, but we've managed to skip I think a lot of legal crap by just working primarily with people who we inherently trust, because we went through a system where I don't know if anybody had the inclination to lie, steal, or cheat, or tolerate among them anybody who does, but by the time we left, it's just not in our blood. And so it's a really easy way to just do immediate due diligence on somebody that might want to get involved.
Sure.
Kudos to the Air Force Academy.
Well, they got us
growing young boys into men.
We've got that going for us at least. Yeah. What do you tell people when they're looking for a CBD product?
That's a great question, because it's not just about our company, CBD LUXE. It's understanding what you want out of CBD. And that's the main thing I ask them. Like, what is it you want CBD to help you with? And always saying it's not going to cure you. It's not the end all be all, but it can certainly help with things. and what is it you're looking for it to help with, and what are your concerns. So that way kind of help navigate, you know, any problems they might arise out of it, although it is the most innocuous substance out there pretty much. But really just getting an understanding of what they're trying to do, you know, what they're trying to achieve, and then kind of help them steer the direction. A lot of times it's not our product, you know. The inhalers is great because they kind of helped broaden the search, you know, for what people are trying to find. But we also like to be extremely careful with any conditions they may have that may be contradictive, you know, or anything else they're taking. So we always say 100% of the time, consult your physician.
Consult your physician.
Any CBD product.
CBD isn't an...
No one does, really, but unless they're going in for major surgery or so, I'm taking this.
If you're taking a bunch of pills, which I think a lot of people who, I know for a fact, a lot of people who
recreational pills are...
No, prescription pills, or recreational, but particularly there are a lot of prescription pills that are prescribed, say, to people who have epilepsy that are processed through the CYP 450 metabolic pathway in the liver, as is CBD. So there could be real drug interactions with pills that people who could benefit from CBD that would, where CBD would be contraindicated, or as I would suggest, maybe that pill's contraindicated and you should stop taking that pill, start taking CBD and get off of that crap.
Right.
But yeah, talk to your doctor about CBD.
Yeah, I think the problem with anything is, you know, maybe I shouldn't segregate to American, but generally human nature is just always level like, okay, if one works, wouldn't two work better? So kind of always, you know, keeping that idea in mind too. And, you know, we always refer to the National Institute of Health, and whatever kind of information they're putting out, their advice, we like to adhere. We feel that they're a very validated source of information that can help anybody out there kind of make the right decision.
So your opinion on full spectrum and THC free?
You know, I'm trying to just make it so that the information's ubiquitous. You know, my belief and what somebody else's belief isn't really the issue here. It's having one language that everybody speaks and one terminology. So I think currently full spectrum is including some amount of THC, and broad spectrum is basically a THC free distillate, is my understanding. We're actually changing the acronym on one of our products to accommodate that, because we do not want to mislead anybody. We're going to be working on some different packaging and things like that to kind of align ourselves with that belief, so people don't have a misunderstanding. You know, before, THC free could include anything that was below 0.3, but that's not really THC free. The problem we're having too is that understanding, you know, what is the threshold for a test? You know, is 0.3 the threshold for a test? Is it 0.03? Where is it you set off a drug test? You know, because you don't want anybody being an inadvertent victim. You know, right now, my belief is that just the full spectrum has some element of THC, and the broad spectrum is T-free.
Yep, I agree.
Isolate being a molecule of CBD.
Yeah, it would be really nice to say. It would be really nice to say that we made full spectrum products or broad spectrum or anything like that. But yeah, we just, in 2017, we're like, whatever it is, it's got to have 0 THC, because it all started with that NASCAR thing, which I'm still waiting to hear back on, by the way. NASCAR. Let's do this.
He sponsors.
Let's do this.
Car racing.
Oh, great.
3 Earnhardts, one night. August 31st, Darlington, be there. Get your tickets now.
Is this the Triple Earnhardt podcast?
We've had a race car driver on.
Yeah. Brent Gone Racing. He's awesome.
I think the thing for the consumer to remember is that, and it's, you know, it's a hard one to explain, but typically these T-frees, that's why we found a couple that are really do have a broad spectrum in there. They are phytocannabinoid rich, more phytocannabinoid rich than any other full spectrum I've seen. And they happen to be T-free as well. Very expensive product, of course. But most people don't realize that by the time they get to T-free, there's almost no phytocannabinoids left, because in the more simplistic way of stripping out the THC, you're taking out most of the phytocannabinoids. Sure. So people end up with like a 80+% CBD distillate, which crystallizes with not mixed, and having not much else in there. So it's kind of can be misleading as well. Sure. Depending on the lab, there's a lot of new gains in science and technology that have allowed certain flash chromatography and things like that have allowed for them to remain in there. But not everybody has it.
Very expensive.
Very expensive.
Over $2 million.
Yeah,
for that machine.
Do you know any jokes?
That's the end of our show.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
He loves asking that. Senators will ask.
Right. I was doing so well. Why blow it now? Right?
But he's being serious. Any jokes?
Not that I'm comfortable telling in the air.
I love that answer.
Yeah.
We had a senator said the same thing.
Yep.
Of course.
Oh, that's great. Well, that's a great show. How do people get a hold of you?
You can reach anybody in our company just through our info line, info@cbdlux.com. And if there's any information that they're looking for or want to speak to me directly, just address me. Particularly, it's William Spilo with an L.
Spilo.
With an I
CBD
and an L.
LUXE.
SPILO. And it's CBD LUXE.com to check out their products.
Good show.
Yeah, great show. Thank you very much.
I really appreciate you having me on, guys.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. And
see you next Thursday, guys.
We will see you next
Tuesday. Actually, you're on Thursday.
I'm on Thursday.
Tomorrow, too.
And in fact, I'm on tomorrow. We're doing a Lyme disease special with Jenny Gold.
That's going to be fantastic.
And a doctor. So
there's a lot to talk about there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's a good friend of ours that has been stricken down really severely by Lyme disease. Yeah. So we'll see that tomorrow.
Okay, cool. All right, thanks, Steve.
Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
See you guys.
See you soon.